Hello, hey, what's going on? Welcome to part one of a couple of videos on this subject matter. We're going to talk a little bit about horror movie soundtracks, so scores. And a good score. It really can make a film more impactful, more engaging, just more interesting, more compelling. A great score goes a long way, adds to the atmosphere, the pathos, all of that stuff. I even enjoy listening to my favourite movie scores when I'm not actually watching movies. I'm that obsessed with like horror films. I'll listen to the scores on Spotify and stuff like that. On this video, I'm not actually going to play any snippets of the scores because of copyright issues and things like that, but I will talk a little bit about some of my favourite scores. So let's just call this a part one of maybe 3 or 4 videos, which I'll get round to doing. I'm just chilling, just relaxing. Got my goblet with wine in it. So, like I say, really adds to the atmosphere and the pathos a good score. I mean, I'm a big fan of movie scores. Sometimes I prefer listening to movie scores and soundtracks as opposed to actual singers or rappers or whomever or rock bands. I sometimes just prefer the instrumental scores, and there's some fantastic ones out there. Of course, you got the heavy hitters, the iconic ones like John Carpenter's score for Halloween. You have the great stuff Goblin did for a lot of Dario Argento films. John Carpenter's done more stuff, which I'm going to mention one of them in this video. There will be more John Carpenter coming up, and I think John Carpenter just makes immense instrumentals and scores. His films have great scores, which he's composed, as well as directing the movies. And he's also does his own albums where he has movie scores in mind, like imaginary movies that he's created in his head, and he makes the music and instrumentals, and they're not actual films. They're just he's just had this imaginary sort of film in his head and come up with a score, like an imaginary score for a film that's non-existent. And his Lost Themes albums are just fantastic. I love Lost Themes 1 to 3. I think they're all great. And then of course his actual movie scores are just, a lot of them are just perfection. There's a lot of great scores in some of the old Italian horror as well. Of course you've got Zombie Flesh Eaters, the Lucio Fulci film. That is a brilliant score. Love that soundtrack. Yeah, just Day of the Dead, another standout, which I'm going to talk about in another video. I'm not covering that one in this. I love the Day of the Dead soundtrack as a whole in its entirety. There is some tracks, about 2 I think, with actual singers on. They're even quite good tracks to listen to. One of them's a bit lovey-dovey, but overall pretty damn good. But the main score for Day of the Dead, sorry. We'll get to Dawn of the Dead. The main score for Day of the Dead is just fantastic, and then the album as a whole, the whole soundtrack is just phenomenal, I think. And often, if I'm relaxing on a Sunday afternoon, I'll just have it on Spotify, playing in my headphones, because I just love that. And the Dead Suite is so long as well. It's a really extended track, and you can just chill back, and it goes for a lot of different tones and atmosphere and notes. It's not even boring or the same rhythm all the way through. It kind of switches and picks up and changes lanes a little bit. Anyway, enough with these sort of waffling on. Let's actually talk a little bit about some great scores. So in future videos, I may play some snippets. I'm making this one a little bit quickly. I may put some snippets in the other parts to this series and talk over it so I don't get any copyright issues. So what I'll do is I'll sort of do ad-libs and talk over it. We'll be able to hear it a little bit, but I'll speak over it a little so we don't get any problems there. But anyway, a fantastic score. And I just think it's phenomenal. It's for Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this is the Blu-ray set for the collection, but the first film has a phenomenal score. And I know in a lot of the sequels, they also use that score and switch it up a little bit and stuff. But the actual soundtrack to the first film is just brilliant. Starts off with the theme, the dun 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 dun. Oh, I'm pretty bad at that, so we'll do no more of that. But anyway, the theme is just really captures the whole idea of dreams and nightmares so good. It's just it's just so compelling, and the whole soundtrack's really good as well to listen to. It's got quite a lot of tracks on there, but the actual score to the film's just amazing when it kicks in. And My impressions, by the way, were terrible at that. Just discard that. Just absolutely discard my impressions then. But still, you know, as a horror fan, you will have heard the score after watching the film numerous times, and yeah, it's so good. Like I say, the album's great. The main theme itself is just absolutely brilliant, and I love how a score off the topic of a Nightmare on Elm Street score for a sec. Just in general, I love, like, I'm not too keen. I do reckon it has a place when they play actual songs like that are known in films, and it can add to like good montages and scenes and things like that and build atmosphere. I get that completely, and it does work for some films and TV shows, but overall I prefer an original score that's just music. I don't need to hear these pop songs or whatever rock songs in films and series. I'd just rather have an original score that really adds to the atmosphere, that comes in, so when it gets to a tense part, the score kicks in. At the beginning it plays the score kicks in when things get tense, it elaborates a bit, it switches up. We don't need necessarily like established songs in films, just an original score. Guys like Hans Zimmer have been great at the original score, and Danny Elfman for films like the Batman, you know, the Tim Burton Batman films, just phenomenal score. Anyway, really like A Nightmare on Elm Street, one of my favourite scores, especially the main theme. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the score for Escape from New York. The actual main score is just brilliant. The dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. You get the gist. I know it's a bit silly there, but still you get the gist. But yeah, this is a top score from John Carpenter. It really adds to the atmosphere of the film. Did a great job on this one. Love the score for Escape from New York. So I'm going to talk, so for the remainder of the video of part one, I've dedicated to Goblin, the Italian sort of prog rock band who did a lot of Dario Argento's score. They didn't do every score to all of his films, but they did a lot of his 70s and 80s output. They did a vast majority. And yeah, let's be honest, as a horror score, what's better than Suspiria? It's just got a very like bombastic, it's in your face kind of like dun 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 boom dun 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 dun. Just a phenomenal score. It's got some good little switch ups in there, you know, it goes witch and what Goblin did, but yeah, Suspiria, just an immensely brilliant score. And like, you know, if you've only watched Suspiria like once or something and you're not too familiar with the score, like, go out your way and just listen to that score alone. You can listen to the whole like soundtrack, which is great as well, but the actual main theme, the score that kicks in, it comes in throughout the film at different parts and notes, and yeah, it's just really, really kind of in your face but creepy as well. It kind of creeps on you. It like starts off a little bit subtle, like with the bells, like duh, duh, and then really picks up like dum and gets going. Love Suspiria, one of the best scores out there, hands down one of the best horror scores. So like I said, it's all about Goblin, the last part of the video. I didn't want to make this an overly long video. Like I say, the next few parts I'm going to try and play some snippets, which I'll talk over, so we don't get any problems with copyright or excuse me. Just hanging out, talking about movie scores. If you like this video, drop a comment and tell me your favourite horror movie score. It's all horror stuff, mainly horror movie scores. There is other, I may do a video on different genres, but yeah, for now it's horror. And another brilliant one from Goblin. I think Goblin did it anyway, I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, they did. Tenebrae. What a score. Just another pulsating, brilliant masterclass of music from Goblin. Love the Tenebrae score. And on talking about Dario Argento film scores from Goblin, whew, Deep Red. This starts off a little bit slower and then it really kicks in. And it's just quite fearsome and like, yeah, it really captures the essence of the Giallo film Deep Red very, very well. And it's significant throughout the film. You know, like I say, we don't need popular songs or this or that in films. In my opinion, I just want to hear an original score, and Deep Red's got a fantastic original score. This is something to behold. What an original score. And on to the last one, and it's still Goblin, because I did say the last part of this video is going to be dedicated to like Goblin scores. It's not an Argento film though, but he did do a cut of the film. So it's a George A. Romero film, and that's Dawn of the Dead. I got this 4K set here. I do have the big edition, but my big limited edition box set is actually the Blu-ray set, because I wasn't 4K ready when that was released. But I did get the films on 4K, and I got this edition in the 4K format. But yeah, the Dawn of the Dead score as a whole is just fantastic. The whole soundtrack's great, like most tracks on there. But I'm pretty sure it is Goblin. Let's check, because I have a sneaky... No, it's Goblin. I know it's Goblin. And it's kind of, when it kicks in as well, it starts off a little bit slow, like dum 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 dum, and then when once it's got going, it's progressed a little bit. It's yeah, fantastic score. Love the main theme to Dawn of the Dead. It's so like it's quite impactful, like a lot of Goblin scores, and it really hits you. Like it's just top tier stuff. So there's some great scores. I mean, there's other ones out there as well, which I'll talk about in a different movie score video. Like you've got, of course, the iconic Halloween score from main theme from John Carpenter. Even Prince of Darkness from him has a good score. You know, you've got like The Good, the Bad and the Ugly score from Ennio Morricone. That's a fantastic score. The Exorcist, the Tubular Bells, phenomenal. I'll talk about them in a different video. Prom Night actually has a song. If you've seen the film Prom Night from the 80s, it's got that kind of Prom Night. Yeah, that's a fun score as well, a fun soundtrack. It's a song. It's got lyrics on it. It's not just like a musical score with it instrumental. It's a song, but it's a really fun one. It's got a good vibe to it. I do like that. I'm not too keen on the film, but I do like the score to it. I'm just looking around at the collection and like seeing what's about, like different movie scores. Goblin did the score for Patrick as well, which has recently had a release from Indicator Powerhouse on 4K. But yeah, the Patrick score's really good. The whole score's soundtrack album's brilliant, and the main theme itself, which it starts off with track number 1, which is the score that sort of quite prominent throughout the movie. Excellente. There is plenty, a lot of great scores out there. Yeah. Lucio Fulci's The Beyond has a really great score, quite a sort of epic sounding score that hits a few different notes and switches up a little bit and things throughout. That's a good score too. Of course, Zombie Flesh Eaters, the score is just brilliant. How does that go? Dun 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 dun. Enough of that anyway. I'm just basically messing about. But there's some of for part 1, there's some of my favourite scores. So we got gone through some Goblin stuff. There'll be more Goblin in this series of musical scores. I've Dawn of the Dead, Deep Red, Tenebrae, Suspiria. That's all the Goblin stuff. I wanted to do a little bit of a Goblin tangent in this video. But of course, John Carpenter's Escape from New York, phenomenal score. And the brilliant score to A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is a fantastic soundtrack album as a whole, which I actually own. And I also listen to it on Spotify a lot. Love A Nightmare on Elm Street, the soundtrack as a whole. The main theme, though, is just brilliant. Love it. So anyway, any comments? What's your favourite score? Drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, if you want to. This was a kind of chill hanging out video. It might not have been the most, let's say, informative video as such, but I'm going to do a few more of these takes on musical scores from horror movies, so do look out for it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers. I'm going to go finish my goblet of wine, and I'll see you on the next one.